Happy Halloween! Happy Drawlloween, in fact. It is October 31st. It is the very last day of Drawlloween. As you might know from previous videos, I am participating in this month's Drawlloween 2016 shenanigans. And I have been following Mab's Drawlloween Club prompts. So if you're curious about that, that's hashtag Mab's Drawlloween Club. She's an artist who put together a list, and it's a list of prompts, and anybody's encouraged to participate through the month of October. And essentially it's designed so that you draw something kind of spooky once a day. Which is great. It's also an intense challenge. And this year, for some reason, I was like, I kind of lost my mind, I think. I was like, you know what? I want to get better at my watercolor painting, so instead of doing a pen and ink illustration for each prompt, I'm going to do a watercolor painting. Bam! And each one has to feature a mermaid. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing, which is insane. I'm very tired. I'm very tired. But I'm also very fortunate because I already see some improvement in my work. It's amazing. There's a lot to be said for practicing dedication and diligence, coming home, getting to work, doing all these prompts that I'm not really 100% comfortable with, really having to think outside of my own little spectrum of creatures and things. So anyway, it's been tough, it's been rough, it's been awesome and exciting and inspiring, and essentially what's happened is I have 31 pieces of art that I made this month, all watercolor paintings, and most of them are still available. I think there's a few that are no longer up, they were purchased, but I have a large body of work now in my Etsy shop, so if you're curious about purchasing some of those, that is lucidopticlab.etsy.com. I also have a link below, and yeah, I mean, they're all pretty affordable. They're like from $30 to $80 price range, and you know, what were you for Halloween? I was a mermaid, deadish mermaid. What do you think? See, I got scales. See. Oh, I am a mermaid. I am a mermaid. I just thought it would be appropriate seeing that all of my watercolor paintings are featuring mermaids, so I was like, well, I'm gonna be a creepy mermaid then. That's settled. There's a point to this video, I promise. The point is, I'm gonna take you through a tour of all of my Drawlloween watercolor mermaid paintings that I still possess. I hope you enjoy. Much love. Mwah. Right, so first let's go over supplies. I was painting with a Grumbacher watercolor set. It's just the little cake form paint. Totally kind of nostalgic, reminds me of painting with praying sets as a kid, but it's a much better quality paint. As you can see, black is nearly gone. Apparently I used a lot of black and blue and yellow and green, red and stuff, but mostly black, so I think that's kind of fun. And I just mix in the little trays that the little lid provides. Super easy. So that's the paint. That's Grumbacher watercolors. And then I also used a ton of salt to get interesting texture in the paint. You know, if you put salt onto wet watercolor, it kind of beads up and does really cool things. Good texture element. You know, I really just prefer to use cheap brushes because I screw up brushes so bad. I'm really bad with my brushes. So they're just all-purpose kind of acrylic or watercolor synthetic bristle, and I trashed them. You know, just your basic pencil for my initial sketches, and I got this at the Dollar Tree. It's nothing fancy, just mechanical pencil. And I love my quill pen. I did a lot of my outlines with my quill pen. Speaking of quill pen, this is what I normally use with it. Black Magic Watercolor Higgins ink. This is good. For highlights that I needed to add back in, sometimes I used Pro White, which is it's like an opaque watercolor, but like white, and it's very intense, and got a lot of good glowy shiny stuff from this, so it was good. Really liked using this. When I really wanted to get into fine details, I actually used some India ink pens that I like, Faber-Castell. These are my favorite drawing pens. Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens, and those really helped get some of the fine detail. And of course, watercolor paper, just using your basic kind of cheapo paper. Look, here's a weird sketch, hasn't been done. So yeah, I just sketch onto the paper and then watercolor it. I was using a couple different sizes. So these are predominantly like 140 pound basic watercolor cold press. Here's a bunch of sketches on post-it notes that I did. And tea. Lots of tea. You gotta fuel the flame, you know. So those are my supplies. Alright, so there were obviously 31 prompts. One prompt a day for October. And I have sold some, so I actually have to start for the 4th day of October is Devil. So this is my Devil piece, and she's inspired by the whole like devil on your shoulder kind of dealy bob. I used a lot of reds and did kind of a minimalist color palette for this one. So I was trying to go for kind of a smoky vibe, smoky, fiery. At the same time, I wanted her to kind of be ghostly. I wanted both the figures to be kind of ghosty. So I pretty much just used a lot of watered down black to create a gray, and did a lot of highlights to make them kind of sparkly, ghosty. And I wanted her to kind of fade into the dark red abyss. So Goblin was interesting. You know, there's a very specific look to Goblin. They've got like really intense, crazy noses and ears, essentially. So I took my usual recipe for my creature ladies and just kind of changed it up with a really pointy nose with a wart on it and some really gnarly, goblin-y ears. And she's just hanging out in the depths. I don't know if those 3 goldfishy type things are like her friends, her posse, her familiars that she tells to do things, to do her bidding, or if they're just gawkers really interested in her nose and the wart on it because it's legendary, and that's apparently where she has all of her goblin powers. I don't know. But I also did my triple eye spine, which I really like doing, and really had fun with the scales in this one and fading it into the dark. Lots of little glowy orbs, and I have this little shadowy layer in the back of a fish very far off into the distance. So the next one is Haunted House. I wrote something pretty cool for the description on Instagram. I can read that. He returns periodically, this wild creature of the dark depths, coves, and shipwrecks. There is something about that house which tugs at her spirit, conjuring familiar yet alien memories. Conflicted, she gathers herself into the warm glow that spills from the great windows out into the waves. She sings, barks, cries, the most unintelligible, bone-chilling lamentations. The house is sold and then abandoned often. Owners complain of the feeling of being watched, in the night terror of hearing strange inhuman wails coming from the sea. The creature feels contented to see the house grow cold and dark once more, reflecting her own emptiness and untold loss. So that's a bit about my haunted house one. Next one was spider. I have arachnophobia. I've gotten a lot better over the years, but spiders still totally freak me out. Between a couple commissions and this prompt, lately I've been drawing and painting quite a bit spiders, so that's kind of weird. So here I have a mermaid queen of sorts. She's got a crown, her scales are all gold, her trident is of gold, she has all of this gold jewelry, and there is this, I don't know if it's a spider suitor or somebody paying her court, paying her a visit at court, and customarily kissing her ring. She has quite the trophy of skeletons, so he must be, or he or she, it. So the spider must be on its best behavior, so I called it a spider's supplication. This one was for contaminated candy. I really was kind of stumped on this one. The thing that was really hard, as I'm sure I've mentioned, is that I decided to do everything had to be mermaid based. So I had to do contaminated candy plus mermaid. Some of the prompts were hard to come up with, so I ended up just putting a piece of candy on a fishing lure, a fish hook, and this mermaid's tempted, as I would be. That would probably be the best way to catch me. The concept was demon, which I was again a little stumped because I felt like I'd already kind of did that with the devil prompt. So I was like, well, okay, demon, what defines demon? Demons tend to be kind of the darker energies, lots of horns, lots of pointy bits. So I thought, well, I'll do a sea devil. So here's like a giant sea demon mermaid creature who has got a sailboat in her crutches, and she's kind of determining at this point whether she should play with it a little bit more or just go ahead and eat it at this point. Death at sea, folks. It's a nice theme to have, right? Wednesday Addams was quite thrilled with Death at Sea. So that was the concept here. I felt like it wasn't dark enough. Second painting for this one. So here is my second try at demon. So I have two silhouetted mermaids who have harnessed this crazy demon creature, and they're controlling it, and perhaps it's their secret weapon of sorts, or perhaps it was trying to wreak havoc on their bubbled little city out there. I really love what I did with the eyes. That was actually super inspired by an artist that I've become quite enamored with. I found them on Instagram. His name is Dusty Ray, but on Instagram he goes by Slop Jockey Ert. And I love his work, and he does this thing with a lot of his eyes where the creatures have like this weird kind of striping, glowy emittance from the eyeballs. So I was really inspired by that. And this one is, you guessed it, the Black Lagoon. That's the prompt here. So I just kind of did my take on that. I really like the way it came out. I tried to do kind of like a swampy deal. I actually looked at Monet's water lilies to kind of draw inspiration on how to do the lily pads. And I wanted it to be literally a black lagoon. So I only did black in the water, and I did some black kind of sticky, brushy cattail stuff along the edge that was kind of more impressionistic than anything. And I did like some weird little vapory, foggy stuff going over a crescent moon, really trying to stay kind of silvery with the light. So if I'm being honest, I think this one's actually my favorite of the entire of all my Drawlloween watercolor pieces. And it was for jack-o'-lantern, and it's a cute little Victorian lass who's showing her mermaid friend what a jack-o'-lantern is. And the mermaid is quite fascinated, a bit mesmerized by it. And I think my favorite part is, I think I really was able to accomplish the glow really well from the pumpkin onto the dress and into the water, and like all these tide pool details, because as a kid and still as an adult I'm absolutely fascinated by tide pools. So this prompt was Addams Family. So I did Wednesday. She will always be my favorite character from the Addams Family. So, you know, at this point it's like, okay, I have to do Addams Family and I have to involve a mermaid. So at first I was like, I'll draw a Wednesday Addams mermaid. Like she will be a mermaid, but also, and I was like, no, I don't know. So throughout this whole process, I was watching creepy classic movies. So I put on the Addams Family movies, and I really especially loved the scene with Wednesday and her weird dolls. So I was like, oh, that's what I'll do. I'll just do a mermaid doll. So I just kind of stuck one in there that she's holding. And I made sure to, you know, put a lot of blood, since she's at that very special age where she has one thing on her mind, which is homicide. Next was Scarecrow. This one really stumped me. Okay, like Scarecrow plus mermaid, what the hell am I gonna do? So I ended up doing a little farm cottage by the sea. So it's like a farm house by the sea. They've got a view of the ocean. I got a little boat back there. And so, you know, if I was a farmer by the ocean, I'd probably make a mermaid scarecrow, right? So that's what I ended up doing. I had a really great response from this one from some of the artists I greatly admire, and I think it was because of the color palette. It's just very fall. I love all the fall colors, and that's it was a big compliment. A lot of people said a lot of good things about this piece, so I'm very happy it was enjoyed and that it worked, because I had no idea what to do. So but I think my favorite spots is the little house with all of its little bay windows and how the glow hits the ground by it, and the little patchwork details on her sack dress, and the little view of the ocean with the boat out there. So I like all the little details. So this one was kind of a freestyle. You could pretty much do any custom creature, and since I was having a lot of success creating the fun glowy stuff in these pieces and having a lot of fun doing the scale work on all of these mermaids, I thought it would be cool to do some kind of creepy anglerfish, merfish lady. So here she's kind of examining this underwater city with her glow lure. I think she's trying to determine whether or not she wants to eat it or make friends with it. It just had so much fun, again, with adding the glow into the water, in ricocheting off her scales. I tried to put some shadow that the buildings were casting onto the sand. This was full moon, and the full moon made me think full body. So, and I always just remember that I really love drawing full-figured, voluptuous creature ladies, and so I took this as an opportunity to do full moon, full-figure mermaid. So her story is that she is known as the man-eater, and she lures quite a few unsuspecting sailors to their deaths. She then uses their blood to dye her hair. I should say that this pose and everything is inspired by my friend Caitlin Sparkle Jackson. We met when she volunteered to be a body paint model for my second body painting series, Earth Goddess. She went and lived in Hawaii for a while and truly actualized being a mermaid. And so she had a lot of pictures of herself sitting on rocks in interesting oceanic tropical situations. So this was a pose that I totally based on a picture of Caitlin Sparkle Jackson. Next up was Frankenstein, so naturally I did Bride of Frankenstein. I took advantage of the fact that she's a mermaid in the deep, so all of her various Frankenstein-y stitched bits are kind of weeping blood into the water. So it was fun kind of trying to get that across with watercolor. And then this is Vampire. So I did like a mermaid vampire, obviously. So I vamped her up by giving her kind of a spidery, spiky, webbed collar. little skull brooch. She definitely has some fangs on her cute little rosebud lips. In the background, salt right here. These textures are salt. So, gosh, I love salt in watercolor. So fun. And then I did some orbs and stuff. Okay, next prompt, sea witch, or I'm sorry, witch. And of course mine's of the sea. She's brewing up something. And it's a very limited palette I chose for this one. It's pretty much just black and green. I think my favorite part is how you can see she's sprinkling ingredients into her cauldron, and I love the cauldron eye. So this one, the prompt was candlelight creep, and it was a really long day at work. I was just bone tired, feeling a little defeated, and I just didn't have the energy to conceptualize anything. So I actually used a reject sketch that I had drawn for the, a prior, it was for the jack-o'-lantern prompt. But, I figure, hey, jack-o'-lanterns are lit with light from a candle. So that's what happened here. Perhaps the spookiest of all, this prompt was rats. And again, hard to combine with mermaids, in my opinion. So I ended up taking inspiration from the Jaws poster, your classic Jaws thing, and creepy, spooky, spoopy results ensued. We've got the oblivious little sexy swimming rat and this terrifying giant mermaid with horrible, horrible teeth coming out of like a dark, frothy, boiling, dark abyss. Again, another one that was difficult for me to conceptualize. Mermaids plus bats. The prompt was bats. So I ended up just kind of doing kind of a Dracula inspired thing. I've got a big castle up on a hill with kind of a vampiric bat changeling mermaid goddess queen alien. I don't know what the hell. But it was fun doing the wings, and I like the background a lot. Okay, this challenge was Raven. So I did a kind of harpy-inspired raven goddess standing on the head of a mermaid, probably in the middle of the sea somewhere, and she's got this glowy lantern. And then there's these little fish that are kind of swarming up, kind of checking out what's going on. Really, it's quite the posse, right? I mean, this is squad goals. If there ever was squad goals, this is gonna be a squad goal. This one was creepy tree. So I did one of my tree ladies, my classic tree ladies, except I kind of changed it up a bit with putting little eye blossoms on some of the limbs. And so I just kind of have these two hanging out together. I've got a mermaid, again, from the back so you can see her triple spine, eyeballs, and there's a ghost ship out there. So I used the ghost ship for the basis of my lighting concept. So everything kind of ended up having a creepy green glow to it, because ghost pirates, I don't know. And this one is Grave. It was kind of morbid because I kind of felt like I was designing my own gravestone. I think this is what I'd like, but it would probably be really expensive to actually have this made into a headstone. You'd have to be one of the Richies. The Richies always have the coolest headstones. Anyway, it is a mermaid. I kind of tried to wrap her fin into a suggestion of the infinity symbol, and she's holding some sort of looking glass orb in her hand to the heavens as she has her eyes closed. She's actually weeping blood. The statue is weeping blood. I'm sorry, I know that's cheesy, but it just felt like it worked here. Bit of stigmata, I suppose. And then her platform base has a skull detail with wings and a big third eye, and the headstone says, "As above, so below." And there's a clutch of blue flowers in a bundle at the grave, and you can see I got some loose aspects silhouetted, other graves in the background, but I really enjoyed the sky really creating a purpley, pink, glowy sunset with a small Easter egg detail of a ship out at sea. Okay, we're getting close to the end here. This prompt was alien, so I did a space frontier merwoman. You know, space is the final frontier and whatnot. That was the basis of inspiration. So I'm assuming that, you know, this mermaid, somehow this mermaid clan ended up with the science to project themselves into space after Earth was destroyed and their waters were gone. So their houses, so there's like a little Victorian in a house with a bubble. That bubble is full of salt water, so is her head bubble. And then her suit keeps her fin and all of everything moist. And she's protecting her property, okay? She's like, get off my property! She's got a little space ray gun in hand. Very frontierswoman. Okay, so we're getting late in the game here at this point, and I started really pooping out, okay? It's like boot camp. I mean, it's delightful, and I know it's like super challenging, and I'm like, you know, pushing to better heights with my art and all, but I was getting so tired. So at this point, I actually combined 2 prompts together. I'm such a cheater. Cheater weeder, pumpkin eater, what can I say? So this is 2 prompts. It's ghost and mask. Okay, so I went with ghost. So I just did my basic mermaid, but I did it all in grays and blues to kind of denote ghostiness. And then I put a skull mask on top of my ghost. And yeah, lots of salt in the background. Really like the texture in the background on this one a lot. And I enjoy the fact that it's kind of subtle with its colors. Bleedy roses, bleedy flowers, those are fun. I intentionally make my flowers and my watercolors bleed because I think it looks really cool. And then this one with black cat. So of course I had to do a mercat. And this mercat's chasing around a little jellyfish. I think it's interesting. It's got a big eyeball on it, the jellyfish. And I totally think this is adorable, and I wish cats came with mermaid tails, and I would totally have like a whole aquarium full of mercats if I could. Like, right? Wouldn't you? Like, seriously. This one was for skeleton. Mermaid skeleton. Like, so what would that even look like? I mean, we really don't know the anatomy of mermaids. So I was like, well, they do have very classical feminine hip shape to them, to their fins. So I was like, well, I guess they'll have to have some sort of hip bone. So I just kind of fudged a hip bone and then connected a spiny tail kind of to it. And I was actually a little bit behind at this point. I was a day behind, so I actually released this one on Halloween. So I added some weird little eyeball balloons in celebration of Halloween. And the final one is Mars Attacks. The prompt was like anything like pop culture referencey. I love the movie Mars Attacks. It's so ridiculous, and the best part to me will always be the weird spy assassin alien in drag, essentially, that was created. Her dress was just so banging, that white with the red spirals, and her crazy blonde bouffant was just ridiculous. And the creepy, I mean, I still like, it creeps me out every time I see the scene. I get chills with the way she moves. I even got the little eyeball ring in there. And if you look closely in the background, you'll find 3 flying saucers. So this one's definitely another one of my favorites. Okay, that is all. Phew! Alright, there we go. You've toured all of my 2016 Drawlloween watercolor mermaid paintings, and I hope you enjoyed them. And as I stated in the beginning of my video, all of these are available for purchase in my Etsy shop, which is lucidopticlab.etsy.com. And yeah, thank you Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing and liking and commenting and sending me cool stuff. Rain, thank you. That's so sweet. You were so sweet. You sent me a card. You sent me tea. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad the tea exchange video has inspired more of you to send me goodies. I love how this is Halloween appropriate. Also, Carissa sent me all sorts of little goodies and teas and candies and figurines for Halloween, and I'm a spoiled brat, essentially, so thanks, guys. Happy Halloween right back to you, dear. Oh. If you want to send me stuff, feel free to do that. I have a P.O. box that I have put down below. You're welcome to send me goodies, and I usually send something back, like a sticker and stuff, you know, little fun things that I make. But yes, whew, Drawlloween is over. I have my sights set on finishing commissions, as well as working on at least, I think there's 10 panels I have to paint for an upcoming art show in Portland. Yeah, so I'm gonna have work cut out for me again. So it's right back to art boot camp, but you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I love it, honestly. I live and breathe art and farts. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you. Happy Halloween. Till next time. Bye-bye. I'm a spooky mermaid. Spooky mermaid. Spooky mermaid. Swimming in the deep. 'Cause I'm so spooky and green. Okay, bye.